When she starts pulling away, when the texts slow down, when the enthusiasm isn't what it used to be, most men feel that tightening in their chest and the instinct, chase, fix it. Talk about it. Send a longer message. Ask where you stand. Try harder. But that instinct, as natural as it feels, is exactly what destroys attraction. Because attraction doesn't grow under pressure, it grows in space. When you chase a woman who is creating distance, what you're really communicating is fear. Fear of losing her. Fear that you're not enough. Fear that if you don't act now, she'll disappear. And women are incredibly intuitive when it comes to emotional shifts. She may not consciously think he's insecure, but she will feel that your energy has changed. And once she feels that shift from calm confidence to anxious pursuit, something inside her pulls back even more. Strength is quiet. Confidence is relaxed. A man who knows his value doesn't scramble when a woman becomes uncertain. He leans, he observes, he gives her the gift of missing him. Space is powerful when you stop flooding her with attention, when you stop trying to convince her, when you simply return to your mission, your friends, your goals, something interesting happens. The emotional pressure disappears, and in that silence, she starts to think, she starts to feel, she starts to notice the absence. Human beings don't fully appreciate something until they feel the possibility of losing it. When you're always available, always initiating, always reassuring, she never has to wonder about you. There's no tension, no mystery, no space for her emotions to grow. But when you pull back with calm certainty, not to manipulate, not to punish, but because you genuinely respect yourself, she experiences contrast. She wonders why you're not reacting. She wonders why you're not chasing. She wonders if maybe you're stronger than she thought. And that curiosity slowly turns into attraction. Coach, pulling back isn't about playing games, it's about maintaining your frame. Your life cannot revolve around her mood shifts. If she needs space, give it freely. If she's unsure, let her be unsure. The moment you try to control the outcome, you communicate weakness. The moment you trust the process and stay grounded, you communicate strength. And here's the truth: most men don't want to hear it. If she's meant to be in your life, giving her space won't push her away permanently. It will either clarify her feelings or reveal that she was never fully invested to begin with. Either way, you win because you maintain your dignity. When you don't chase, you stand out. Most men panic. Most men over text. Most men beg for reassurance. So when you don't, when you calmly say, no problem, take your time, and you actually mean it, you become rare, and rarity increases value. Attraction thrives on emotional contrast. Your absence allows her emotions to breathe. It gives her room to feel your absence instead of your pressure. And often that absence hits harder than any speech you could ever give. So when she pulls back, don't tighten your grip. Loosen it. Return to your purpose. Improve yourself. Let her come to her own conclusions. Because a woman who comes back on her own after experiencing your absence comes back with clarity, not confusion. And that's when she returns more committed than ever. When a woman becomes distant, uncertain, or starts acting confused, the real test isn't about what you say, it's about who you are emotionally in that moment. Most men think attraction is about the perfect words, the right timing, or some clever strategy. But what truly separates the man she can't forget from the one she casually replaces is emotional self control. Emotional control doesn't mean you don't feel anything, it means you feel everything, but you don't let it control your behavior. When she cancels plans last minute, when she takes hours to respond, when she seems hot and cold, the average man reacts. He becomes irritated. He sends a passive aggressive message. He withdraws dramatically. Or worse, he confronts her from a place of insecurity. And in doing so, he reveals that his emotional state depends on her consistency. That's the shift that kills attraction. A woman may say she wants a man who is expressive and open, and that's true. But what she truly respects is emotional steadiness. She wants to feel that your center is unshakable, that her mood swings don't dictate your mood, that her uncertainty doesn't make you uncertain about yourself. When you remain calm in the face of her emotional waves, something powerful happens. You become the stable presence in the interaction. You become the grounded energy she subconsciously leans toward, and that kind of steadiness is rare. Think about it. Most people react, very few respond. When she senses that you're not easily rattled, that you're not trying to force clarity out of her, that you're not seeking constant reassurance, she begins to feel safe. Safety and attraction doesn't come from over explaining yourself, it comes from consistency. Emotional self control also creates intrigue. When she pulls back and expects you to chase, and instead you stay composed and slightly amused, she starts to question her assumptions. She may have expected you to beg, she may have expected drama. But when none of that comes, when you're simply steady and unfazed, she feels the contrast, and contrast builds attraction. There's also something deeper happening psychologically. Coach, when you don't collapse emotionally, she starts comparing you to other men in her life: the guy who blew up her phone, the guy who got angry, the guy who guilt tripped her. And suddenly your calm presence stands out. You're not trying to control her emotions. You're not trying to manage her freedom. You're simply solid, and solidity creates respect. Respect is the foundation of long term attraction. Without it, feelings fade. With it, feelings intensify. A woman may feel chemistry with many men, but she commits to the one she respects deeply, and respect grows when she sees that your emotional world is not fragile. When she sees that you're not threatened by temporary distance, that you're not desperate for constant validation. She begins to feel that you're a man with options, a man with purpose, a man whose life doesn't revolve around one person's behavior. That perception increases your value without you having to say a word. Emotional control also protects you because if she doesn't come back, if she chooses another path, you haven't compromised your dignity, you haven't sent paragraphs you regret, you haven't revealed insecurity that you can take back. You stood firm. And here's the paradox: the less reactive you are, the more she feels drawn to reconnect because strength is magnetic. Calmness is powerful, and a man who can regulate himself under pressure becomes unforgettable. When she realizes that your confidence wasn't performance, it was real, that's when she sees you differently. And that's when she comes back more committed than ever. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do when she pulls away is absolutely nothing. Not because you don't care, not because you're playing games, but because she needs to experience life without you in order to truly understand what you meant to her. Most men try to prevent that experience, they interrupt it. They chase her before she ever has the chance to feel the loss, and in doing so, they rob her of the clarity that only absence can create. When you're constantly present, constantly reaching out, constantly reminding her of your value, she doesn't have to think about it. Your presence becomes familiar, predictable, safe in a way that requires no emotional effort from her. But when you step back and genuinely allow her to walk her path, something shifts. Silence creates reflection. Distance creates perspective. At first, she may feel relief. Space can feel freeing in the beginning. No pressure, no expectation, just independence. But as days turn into weeks, she begins to notice the small things. The conversations that used to make her laugh, the calm way you handled situations, the stability you brought into her emotional chaos, those things don't scream for attention when you're around every day. But in your absence, they echo. Contrast is a powerful teacher. She may meet new people, she may talk to other men, and in that process, she inevitably compares, not consciously at first, but subconsciously, she measures energy, she measures consistency, she measures how she feels. And what often surprises her is that not every connection carries depth, not every man brings strength, not every interaction feels grounded. When you allowed her to leave without drama, without bitterness, without trying to convince her to stay, you planted something powerful in mind. You showed emotional maturity, you showed confidence. And now, in your absence, that memory grows stronger. If you had argued, begged, or pressured her, her last emotional memory of you would be tension. But because you handled it with calm certainty, her last memory is strength. And strength ages well in the mind. Over time, she starts to question her decision. She starts to wonder whether she walked away from something rare. Absence doesn't erase attraction, it tests it. If the connection was shallow, distance will dissolve it. But if there was real emotional chemistry, real respect, real polarity, absence intensifies it. Because now she has space to feel the difference between what she had and what she has now. This is where most men fail. They can't tolerate the uncertainty. They interrupt the process by reaching out too soon. They seek reassurance before she's had time to miss them. But missing someone is essential. It's the emotional bridge that leads someone back with conviction instead of confusion. When she experiences life without your leadership, your humor, your calm presence, she begins to understand the value you brought naturally. Not because you advertised it, not because you convinced her, but because she felt the lack of it. And when she reaches that realization on her own, it's powerful. Because now it's her idea, her clarity, her decision. You didn't push her into it. You didn't manipulate the outcome. You simply allowed reality to speak for you. That's when she returns differently, not testing, not unsure, but aware. And that awareness is what makes her come back more committed than ever. While she's away figuring out her feelings, your job is not to sit around analyzing her last message. Your job is not to watch her social media stories trying to decode hidden meanings. Your job is to build, because the strongest position you can ever be in is growth. If she comes back, she must return to a man who has expanded, not a man who paused his life waiting. Most men treat distance like a holding pattern. They freeze, they emotionally hover in the same place, hoping she'll reappear and validate them again. But stagnation lowers value. When your world stops because one person stepped away, it quietly communicates that she was your center, and attraction fades when a man has no center outside the relationship. This is where you separate yourself from the average. Instead of waiting, you level up, you train harder, you sharpen your skills, you focus on your finances, your mission, your social circle, you read more, you discipline your habits, you upgrade your style, you expand your mindset, not to impress her, but because that's who you are becoming regardless of who stays or leaves. There's something powerful about a man in motion. When your life has direction, when your days are structured around progress, you radiate purpose. And purpose is deeply attractive. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, financially. Movement creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. And here's the part most people don't understand: growth changes your energy. When you're improving, you don't operate from scarcity. You don't obsess over whether she'll come back because you're too busy becoming better. That shift alone makes you more magnetic. Desperation disappears, calm ambition replaces it. If she checks in on you, and often she will, she should feel that difference. Maybe your responses are lighter. Maybe you seem more grounded. Maybe you're less available because your schedule is full, not as a tactic, but because your life genuinely expanded. That subtle shift communicates that losing you meant losing a man on the rise. Respect grows when a woman sees that you didn't crumble, you didn't spiral, you didn't beg, you built. That kind of resilience creates admiration, and admiration fuels commitment. But this isn't just about her, this is about you. Because if she doesn't return, you still win. You've elevated yourself, you've strengthened your discipline. You've increased your options. You've proven to yourself that your identity isn't dependent on one relationship. That realization alone transforms your confidence moving forward. And if she does come back, she'll return to a higher version of you, a sharper version, a more focused version, the same grounded man she was attracted to, but amplified. Now the dynamic changes. She senses that your world is valuable. She senses that being part of it is a privilege, not an entitlement. Women commit deeply to men they respect, and respect grows when they see consistent self improvement, not loud bragging, not performative success, quiet evolution, discipline without announcement. So while she's deciding what she wants, you become the man every woman wants. You refine yourself in silence. You stay consistent. You let your results speak because whether she returns or not, you're moving forward. And when she sees that you didn't stay the same, that you became better, that's when she understands she's stepping back into something stronger than before. And that's when she comes back more committed than ever. When she comes back, and many times she will, the moment feels powerful. You may feel relief. You may feel excitement, you may even feel a quiet sense of victory, but this is where most men lose everything they regained because the energy you bring when she returns determines whether this becomes a temporary reunion or a deeper commitment. The biggest mistake a man can make in this moment is overexcitement. The second she reaches out, he floods her with attention. He replies instantly. He clears his schedule. He becomes overly available. Subtly, without realizing it, he communicates that he was waiting the entire time, and that shifts the dynamic back to where it was before. Her uncertain him invested strength is consistency. If you were calm when she left, you must be calm when she returns. No emotional speeches. No, I miss you so much. I've been thinking about you every day. No interrogation about where she's been or who she's seen. And definitely no bitterness disguised as jokes. When you unload emotion, whether positive or negative, you show that she had more control over your internal world than she realized. Instead, you stay centered. When she reaches out, respond warmly but briefly. If she wants to see you, set a definite date. Keep it simple. Pick up where things left off without dragging the past in the present. The more natural you are, the safer she feels. The calmer you are, the more she senses your strength hasn't changed. Women are extremely perceptive. She's watching. Not consciously analyzing every word, but feeling your energy. Is he resentful? Is he needy? Is he trying to lock me down immediately? Or is he the same grounded, confident man I was attracted to in the first place? Your job is to show, not tell, coach, that you are unchanged in your emotional stability, that her absence didn't weaken you, that her return doesn't inflate you. You remain balanced. This balance does something powerful. It removes pressure. And when there's no pressure, she relaxes. When she relaxes, her femininity opens. When she feels like she can come closer without being smothered or punished for leaving, she moves toward you naturally. Another mistake men make is trying to secure the relationship too quickly. They push for labels, they demand reassurance, they want guarantees, but commitment that's forced is fragile. Commitment that grows organically is strong. If she came back, it's because she felt something missing. Let that feeling continue to build. Don't interrupt it with control. Your mindset should be simple. You're happy to see her, but your life was good either way. That energy is magnetic. It tells her that being with you is a choice, not an obligation. And when she feels that she must earn her place back into your world rather than automatically reclaim it, her respect deepens. Keep dating her. Keep leading. Keep setting plans. Let her invest. Let her show consistency. Watch her actions more than her words. If she truly wants to be there, she will make it easy. And when she sees that you're not clinging, not rushing, not reacting, she feels secure enough to commit more deeply on her own. The key is emotional discipline. Calm, relaxed body language, light humor, forward movement. No dwelling on the past. The past only matters if it repeats. Focus on creating new experiences instead of dissecting old wounds. Because when she realizes that you didn't crumble without her and you're not overreacting to her return, she understands something powerful. You're stable, you're rare, you're strong. And that's when she comes back more committed than ever. At the core of everything, real commitment can never be forced. It cannot be negotiated, pressured, or talked into existence. A woman's deepest level of commitment happens when she feels that choosing you is entirely her decision. The moment she feels pushed, cornered, or persuaded, a part of her resists. But when she arrives at the conclusion on her own, when she believes she fought for you, returned to you, and secured you, her investment multiplies. Most men sabotage this by trying to control the outcome. They want certainty too soon. They want guarantees. They want definitions and promises before emotions have fully matured. And the irony is that the harder they try to lock it down, coach, the more unstable it becomes. Pressure creates doubt. Freedom creates desire. When you don't force clarity, you create space for it. When she stepped away, you didn't chase. When she was uncertain, you didn't demand answers. When she returned, you did interrogate or rush commitment. Every step of the way, you allowed her autonomy. That autonomy is powerful because it shifts responsibility onto her. She owns her choice. She owns her feelings. She owns her return. And people protect what they feel responsible for. If you convince someone to stay, they subconsciously blame you if things don't feel right later. But if they convince themselves to stay, they fight harder to make it work. That's human psychology. We value what we choose. By maintaining your standards and not bending them out of fear, you communicate something critical. You are willing to lose her rather than lose yourself. That quiet strength is what makes your commitment valuable. Because now she knows you're not staying out of desperation. You're staying because she meets your standards. When she senses that, her behavior shifts. She invests more. She reaches out more. She becomes more consistent. Not because you demanded it, but because she feels the possibility of losing you again, and this time she doesn't want that. True masculine energy is rooted in certainty within yourself, not certainty about her. You don't need constant reassurance to remain grounded. You don't need daily validation to feel secure. Your stability comes from your purpose, your discipline, your identity. When she sees that, she understands that being with you is a privilege, not a rescue mission. And that perception changes everything. A woman commits deeply when she feels both desire and respect. Desire alone creates passion but not stability. Respect alone creates comfort but not intensity. When you allow her to choose you freely while maintaining your standards and your frame, you combine both. She desires you because you're strong. She respects you because you're unwavering. There's also something powerful about patience. When you don't rush the process, when you let time reveal consistency, you give the relationship room to breathe. Commitment built slowly tends to last longer because it's layered with experiences, trust, and earned admiration. You are not trying to win her over. You are allowing her to win you over too. That balanced dynamic creates mutual investment, and mutual investment creates security. So you never force, you never beg, you never pressure. You remain open, warm, and strong. You let her actions show her level of commitment. And when those actions align consistently with her words, you reward that with your presence and leadership. Because when she realizes she chose you, not because she was convinced, but because she genuinely wanted you, her attachment becomes deeper. Her loyalty becomes stronger. Her certainty becomes clearer. And that's why she comes back more committed than ever.